We'll begin with opening remarks from Coach McGee, and then we'll take questions for both the coach and the student athletes. Coach.
Good afternoon. I really appreciate the media for extending their time today and over the past couple of days. What you do for our game and what you do for our conference means the world to us. We appreciate the exposure, the good, bad, and ugly of it, and we want to send our salute to you. Secondly, I want to send deep regards from our president of our university, Dr. Bryant Blake, our athletic director, Charlie Cobb. They send deepest regards from the university, and they wish they could have been here today. Thirdly, I would like to commend Commissioner Gill and all of his work that he has done for the conference. He and his staff do a tremendous job of aligning us as coaches and the conference in a unified vision, along with his other staff members that work with him. I also like to thank the hospitality that you all have presented to us thus far. It has been a first-class event in a first-class city. Had an opportunity to eat some great food, and just piggybacking on my first time in New Orleans was back in 1996. I was training for the NFL Combine by the great Tom Shaw, so I have some familiarity with this city, and the food has not changed. Digging back into Georgia State football, last year was a win for me as a head football coach. Being hired late in March, having to stop spring ball, hire a coaching staff, then restart spring football by implementing the 3 phases, offense, defense, and special teams, and ending all those before the portal window opened to acquire and retain the correct players was definitely a tough task. We did go 3-9 last year, unfortunately, but I do feel like a foundation was laid for our program, and it will show by the 45 players that return from that season that how we go about our everyday business is a way that we're going to work in the future. We had 4 one-scored losses last year, which kind of promoted the theme this offseason of finish. That is printed on all of our shirts, our workout gear. It's in the weight room and in other areas of our facility. We did acquire 34 high school kids via walk-on and signees, which they bring a lot of enthusiasm and excitement to the program. They've got a talented bunch from all states surrounding us. We also had 43 portal additions to the 77 new players that we have. We feel like those portal additions has supplemented our roster along with the enthusiasm from our freshmen that has entered our program. But ultimately, the direction of our program is going to be spearheaded by the 45 guys that return. And 2 of those players that are with me today, Ted Hurst, a receiver who has got Sun Belt accolades and preseason recognition, and also Henry Bryant, who graduated this spring, which I'm very proud of. And we also had the highest GPA with the football team this past spring, which I want to applaud our academic staff and our student athletes for working diligently and making that goal come true. With that being said, I will open it up for questions.
We'll now open the floor for questions. For those of you in the room, if you have a question, please raise your hand and we will get a microphone to you. For those of you joining us on Zoom, we ask you to please type your questions into the chat and we'll read them here in the room. Coach, we have a Zoom question already. You said last year that your team was a work in progress. Can you compare where your team was last year at this time to where they are this year?
Really can't compare, but I can say the 77 additions, we've created competition in every single room, and we feel like competition will help push the needle from a standpoint of accountability and also competitiveness. Holding our team accountable is really one of our tiers that our players must uphold with the leadership of our 45 returning guys, they understand how we practice, they understand what it takes in the off season, in the weight room, and in summer conditioning, and they have really done a tremendous job of pushing that agenda forward. Two of these guys will probably speak on that a little bit further. I think the 4 C's that we really embrace our program with, of commitment, competitiveness, composure, is really the 4 outliers that push us to a different standard.
Brady Weather, Panther Talk. I'll help you out right there and ask about that to the players. How have you seen the energy in the program over the spring and summer workouts?
Could you repeat that question again?
How you've seen the energy, what the energy levels have been in the summer and the spring workouts?
Yeah, so we happen to live and condition by group. So with that being said, it makes everyone push the level of competition with everybody being able to compete and, be first within the sprints or lift the biggest weight. It just pushes people to do that.
Yeah, I would say, energy level starts with the coaches. They come in every morning, high energy, very enthusiastic, and I feel like that, opens the door for the players to follow right behind them. They lead the way with the energy. We follow right behind them. Even some days, other players, they come in with more energy than others, and it's contagious. That's what I think.
We have a Zoom question from Matt Cummings for Coach. There's been a good bit of community service, outreach, and involvement for your team this off-season, ranging from helping with school supplies for kids in Atlanta to players learning about financial literacy. Can you speak on what it means to see your players making positive efforts?
Yeah, we want to make sure that we practice what we preach when we recruit our student athletes. When we sit in living rooms and parents and kids come on visits, we tell them exactly that we're going to be involved in our community, we're going to give back, and we're going to make sure that we're physically being seen by the city of Atlanta. We're trying to create a different culture when it comes to fan participation, more so butts in seats, and we feel like we got to have a concerted effort that we have to get out and make that happen and come to life. And there's no better way than putting ourselves in the community, helping the youth, being examples and role models to the younger generation that really looks up to these guys.
Coach, got a question from Zoom here from Stan Autry. How did you personally see Henry grow and improve from last year, and what are your expectations for him this year?
Who's the name?
From Stan Autry. For Henry.
Really, Henry is a leader by the way he works. He's not a vocal person, but he leads and plays extremely hard in everything he does. So his examples have been set by the way he goes about his work every single day. And that's refreshing. All 45 guys are going to lead in a different way, and Henry is one that leads by example and not necessarily by his voice. We do have other leaders on our team that will speak and hold guys accountable vocally more so than Henry, but I am very encouraged by his leadership and the example he sets for the defensive linemen and also the younger kids that he's taken under his wing that we signed from high school.
And then a follow-up for Henry. What are your personal goals for you as an individual, but also for the defense as a unit?
For the defense as a unit, the goal is to just win, dominate, have a better impact on the season than we did last year. Just work on the small things and, make minimal mistakes. As far as off the field, I would just say continue, for me to, continue to make bonds and friendships and continue to network and, build opportunities for myself outside of football.
Coach Tyler Kennett from the Herald-Dispatch in Huntington. You mentioned a lot about your high school class and the energy that they bring. I guess, from a lot of coaches, you don't hear a lot about the high school side of recruitment nowadays with how influential the portal has been. I guess could you talk about the importance of that side of things and the leadership you've seen out of the guys you have that has impacted those younger players?
Yeah, we feel like recruiting the high school ranks is going to be important for us at Georgia State. We will supplement our roster with junior college signees as well as transfer portal acquires. But I feel like you get to really dive deep into the high school relations part of it. You get a chance to recruit a guy for a year or two. You really get to know their families, what's their why, what makes them tick. And you also get to assess what kind of student are they? Will they be successful in a city? Is this the right person to come into our program and fit what we want to do as an organization? So that's going to be the way we cut our teeth in recruiting from here moving forward. We're off to an outstanding start with the 26 signing class, but the 25 class will really be, my first class that will kind of signify kind of what this class will really mean and what the development piece will be. Of course, development is a little bit different in this walk of college sports right now with the transfer portal, with guys being able to leave when they choose, so to speak. But we do feel like fostering those relationships over time and being genuine and honest, that those retention rates will increase. And instead of us having 45 players to return, next year we're hoping for 60 and 65 guys returning, and that will build that continuity to establish a winning program.
We've got a question for Ted from Matt Cummings. Ted, you've been named to the Dean's List and the preseason All-Sun Belt first team. How difficult is it to balance playing football and your studies at such a high level?
Yeah, so on that part, I'll say it's not so much very hard because that's my main focus. So I'm just taking it step by step every day and making sure I get the task done week by week, day by day.
And then a question for Henry. You played a little bit of running back in high school. Any chance we see you get a goal line carry or two out of you this season? And Coach, if you want to comment on that as well.
I'm not too sure, but that would be lovely to be able to tote the lead again. I know what to do with it. So.
That's a good question. We'll still be trying to identify what we're going to do with short yard situations, and we'll look into that to the future. Can't promise anything, but we will use defensive linemen as extra tight ends, so to speak, and may put him at fullback in time too.
Coach, I know about this Sun Belt Conference. Just talk about, and we've heard coaches talk about the importance of scheduling and being intentional about it and how it prepares you guys for what is a tough conference schedule year in and year out. And you have a couple of road games against A4 teams in your non-conference this year. Just talk about the importance in scheduling and kind of being intentional with that.
Well, I inherited this schedule, and it is a very tough first 4 games. But at the same token, we're not looking at Ole Miss right now, but playing an opponent like Ole Miss that's top 10 annually in every statistic in football and recruiting with the resources that they have will be a welcome challenge. And that is the reason why kids are going to come to Georgia State, because we are willing to play SEC type opponents and we're not shying away from competition. Our main focus is camp that's going to start next Wednesday, where we report, and then just working on ourselves and creating identity in all 3 phases. And then 8 days prior to playing Ole Miss, we'll turn our concentration on them. But everything right now is about us and how we prepare on a day-to-day basis.
And then a question for Coach. With your storied resume, you've seen the highest levels of football. Going through your first year in the Sun Belt, what was kind of the expectation, and then what were some things that you learned about the level of competition?
Sun Belt Conference is a very competitive conference, very outstanding coaches. And I would say the biggest thing that I learned is you can't create your own issues, whether it's coaching, players not making the correct play in critical moments. Every single play will matter. And the details and how we process our weeks leading up to the games are to the utmost of importance. How we prepare, how we watch tape, and then taking those little nuggets into the game, and then it's up to the kids to really hone down and take ownership of the game plan. Because it doesn't really matter what a coordinator calls. We got to expect our kids to perform at a high level for us to be successful.
And then, Coach, another question from Stan Autry on Zoom. Last year, the quarterback decision came down to the last week. What is it looking like this year, and what do you like from your quarterback room right now?
Christian Bear ended spring ball as our #1 quarterback, and he'll go into fall camp as such. I'm very encouraged by the quarterback room. Cam Brown, who transferred in from Texas Tech, who's from Georgia, but played at West Georgia, which afforded him the opportunity to dabble in Texas Tech. Texas Tech at the Power 4 school brings a little bit of different flair to the game and to our offense. And he's been competing and learning and getting better on a daily basis. PJ Hatter, also kind of the same mode of being a dual threat type of quarterback, has really improved this summer, and I'm really encouraged by TJ Stanley, who's a mid-year signee out of Toombs County High School, has really progressed, and there's going to be truly a quarterback competition once we start fall camp. And I'm not going to say we won't play 2 quarterbacks. I think we have to maximize some of the things that Cam Brown and PJ had to bring to the table, and in critical moments, whether it's short yardage, goal line, or in the game scenarios, we'll utilize the players that's going to help us win football games.
And then a question for Ted from Zoom here. You had a lot of success last year, setting the school record. How did you find that success, and then how do you carry that over into this year?
Yeah, I try not to dwell on the past much, and I try to be a leader for the guys, and I know they're looking up to me, so that feeling them looking up to me just gives me motivation to go out there and practice and play hard.
With no more questions in the room, Coach and our student athletes will be around for a couple of minutes for one-on-one interviews when they come off the stage. Coach, guys, thank you so much. Good luck going forward this season.